Operator Profile, Ho'olheok. A former Maylander Foundation agent, she joined Rhodes Island on the recommendations of Dr. Kaltzit and the Doctor. Her proficiency in fighting solo and adapting to all kinds of extreme environments has proven invaluable to our myriad covert operations. Clinical Analysis. Imaging tests reveal clear, normal outlines of internal organs, and no abnormal shadows have been detected. Originium granules have not been detected in the circulatory system, and there is no sign of infection. At this time, this operator is believed to be uninfected. Cell originium assimilation, 0%. Operator Ho'olheok shows no signs of originium infection. Blood originium crystal density, 0.11 units per liter. Operator Ho'olheok has a great understanding of originium's properties, as well as how to protect herself from them, and we recommend that other operators follow her example. In short, she's very healthy, but as for her lifespan, the medical department will produce a special report elaborating on the topic later. Warfarin. Archive File 1. My colleagues and I have been left quite perplexed by Ho'olheok's arrival on Rhodes Island. At this point, we're just lying to ourselves when we talk up Rhodes Island's apolitical stance. We have many contacts with close ties to government bodies from multiple countries, and some even visit the landship from time to time. She even used to be one of the Maylander Foundation's top agents, too, manipulating Columbia's gigantic shadow from within. Even though she has technically left the organization and we've somewhat restricted her access, her background alone lets her know of their existence, and she may have already obtained some intel. This is evident from her rather contemplative expression as she flips through a list of our operators. Furthermore, she usually applies to operate solo on most of her missions. Perhaps this is a habit from her secret agent days, but it is quite worrisome that she does not seem willing to mingle with the others, or even to adjust to life on Rhodes Island. Of course, this could also be how she expresses her goodwill. She understands what sort of apprehensions her identity brings us, and has decided to flaunt it rather than downplay it, letting us decide how to treat her. To be honest, she has already demonstrated her expertise in espionage despite having only joined us recently. Our intel work will definitely increase in efficiency and quality if we are to trust her. In fact, she has already shared with us a little on how the Maylander Foundation operates, which has definitely helped us somewhat, but has also left us even more confused. Operators over at HR have formed some divisive opinions on her, and it seems like this will remain the trend for some time. Weekly Report by HR Operator D.E. Kaltzit and I have both put much thought into the matter. Her position is much more complicated than you can imagine, but she will do fine in terms of work. As for her relationship with Rhodes Island, we'll leave that to the Doctor. A note by Archive File 2. Oh? I had been wondering how to handle my interviewer while in the locker room earlier, but I didn't expect that it would be you, Doctor. So, it worries you to have someone else interview me? Are you worried about them, or about me, Forget it. Our current relationship should be enough to let us skip the more trivial questions, no? You're asking why someone as smart as me would be seeking information on the mythical Kukulkan? Did you also try this line on our cute elf, Doctor? In terms of social status in today's society, surely the resources and position I held at the Maylander Foundation were far more powerful than the Kukulkans who exist today only in name, yes? Let's say we disregard authority and just focus on raw strength instead. Could a Kukulkan in its prime handle a few Colombian army divisions? How many seconds could we last against a laser from Shaft? Me, my parents, and each and every one of my ancestors residing in my memories. How can we pretend that the very same civilization we have all lived in doesn't exist? The fact that I can talk about this subject is proof enough that there is no actual curse forcing me to act this way. In other words, I could abandon this whenever I want, and so could my ancestors. Then why, oh why did we not do so? Why did we continue the chase? That would be a perfectly normal response from a bystander's point of view. But for me, I have had this obsession lingering in my mind ever since I was born. My first word was neither mama nor papa, but Kukulkan. So naturally, all of my childhood education was ultimately directed towards pursuing the Kukulkan. This mission is always on my mind, and the most I can do is ignore it for a short while. Do you accept it? Or ignore it? And if you do choose to accept, can you understand how it feels to spend your oh-so-short life chasing after something only to end up with nothing, Doctor? Would you be willing to let it all be forgotten? Or would you pass on your mission to the next generation and have them inherit your pain, your anger, your pursuit? Honestly, it's more like a curse that we've put upon ourselves. Well, it seems like you've managed to wrap your head around my words. Well, aren't you clever? Yes, even though we should be able to ignore our mission if we really didn't want to continue the chase. Indeed, the main reason why become a Kukulkan has remained a desire until now is because of my choice to do so. Our choice. History to us is a mandatory class. We have always been looking for our answer within it. And when we see through the dense fog and realize that we have been performing to no one on an imaginary stage, that modern history is surrounded by towering walls, we lose all interest in the present. The more glorious a civilization becomes as it advances with its technology, the more enthralling our legends become to us. To soar in the skies in our majestic forms with the wind and thunder. To us, the word Kukulkan means both the force of our might and the truth of our history. Call it superstition, habit, or just plain ignorance. I'll allow you the thought, Doctor, because I sometimes think the same. As we continue our pursuit of Kukulkan, we also look for an alternative to free ourselves from our fate. But we always end up where we began. Until Kristen said those words to me. Let's call it a day here, Doctor. The rest is a secret that you'll have to work hard for. Recording of a conversation between the Doctor and Ho'olhayok. Part 1. Archive File 3. The Kukulkans used to be one of the most powerful elder races in Sargon. They could soar in the skies and harness the power of wind and thunder. And to this day, still exist in the myths of some Sargonian tribes. And as someone who bears such a myth on her back, her current physical condition and Originium arts assimilation are simply stronger than most. But that's about it. For someone like me, who grew up in an environment full of lineages and glory and all that jazz, I can't say I don't understand her at all. But those kinds of arts are simply too much for me. Manipulating such delicate things as memory, emotion, perception, and whatnot is no easy feat. As far as I know, only some of the oldest Sarkaz royal court records mention similar arts, and they're all difficult to work with and come with some kind of absurd price to pay. The arts of the Google Khan are completely unrelated to those of the Sarkaz royal court, but rather a twisted product of some clue they found somewhere in the annals of their history. In fact, their elder lifespans are still longer than most people, even when halved. But their lives will be forever incomplete. Did Ho'olheok have a childhood? Will she be able to enjoy retirement? In conclusion, it's neither a curse nor the damage to her physical body that cut her lifespan away, but the structure of her brain has been permanently altered. Imagine this. You're a newborn baby with a still developing body, and someone takes the opportunity to pour a load of information into your brain so it can be passed down to the next generation, unforgotten. To put it bluntly, it's less about the arts themselves than the extremely inhumane brain surgery carried out with said arts. The one who invented this procedure was undoubtedly talented. Ethics aside, one can probably only cast that kind of thing on an infant. There's no way to simulate it to test my theory, but I think once an infant becomes self-aware, this crude method of importing information might not only shatter their mind, but also their very being. Such a procedure is practically unheard of based on what I know of modern science and Originium technology. And, according to Ho'olheok, her inherited history began more than 4 centuries ago. So achieving such a fantastical feat was something you could only dream of in an era when medical science wasn't a thing yet. You'd also have to be a damned lunatic to even try it, though. The chances of a procedure like that succeeding aren't very high. And I dare not even ask how many other siblings she had. Even if there were other successes, the damage done to the infant's brain is irreversible. That's the main cause of their shortened lifespan, when as elders should rightfully be living longer than ordinary races. Their so-called legacy, past glory, and absolute power have turned their arts into a curse on their own bloodline. Warfarin. Archive File 4. Good evening, Doctor. Lovingly attached to your work as usual, I see. No, it's nothing. I only... You shared with me how it feels to have amnesia, yes? I thought it was time we continued our previous conversation. Have you forgotten? If you have, I won't mind wrapping my tail around your neck to jog your memory. Oh yes, we stopped at until Kristen. We believe the past holds the truth, and that truth would reveal our true future. She scoffed at our belief, stubbornly asserting that the past is worthless, but the present will lead to the future. She pulled me into her plan, and as it was nearing completion, she brought it up so casually. A life pod, I believe, was its name. Anyway, she basically gave me all the data from the sarcophagi and told me, now you can choose to lie in this sarcophagus and turn back into a Kukulkan. But she also asked me, will it really be worth it to sacrifice all your people's lives just to return to the past? This question has come up in our history too many times to count, but it has never caused a sense of self-doubt as it did back then. And Kristen, she only came to this conclusion after learning everything, so I had to acknowledge it. I'm sure you know the rest, Doctor. I escaped from the Tin Man and rushed into that underground space, witnessed the fall of God, and brought whatever remained to you people. I obtained nothing from that death that had nothing to do with me. Questions, answers, the past, the future, nothing at all. Doctor, I've been on Rhodes Island for a while now, and I now believe that you and Kaltzit know just as much as Kristen does. What did you see down there underground? What did you hear? Feel? Don't get the wrong idea now. I didn't look for you and Rhodes Island to find an answer. The answers from the past became meaningless when I stopped pursuing Kukulkan. Kristen cruelly opened the doors of truth, leaving everyone behind, and my sole stroke of luck was to find the two of you standing in front of it. Right now, I find myself inexplicably smug, but on a lone boat in the middle of a vast ocean, and you as the only lighthouse that can guide my way. So now, I'll give you a piece of good news and bad news. The good news is that my lifespan will have me dying before you do. As for the bad news, your existence will be passed down through my bloodline, and you won't be able to escape. Recording of a conversation between the Doctor and Ho'olheok, Part 2. Promotion record. Ho'olheok's experience is the complete opposite of mine. I won't say I understand her. I'm probably the least able to. If I had my kin whispering in my ears every single day, and could easily see just when my life would end, I think I wouldn't fare any better than her. All I can say is, she has what I don't, and vice versa. But that's not the point I'm trying to make here, Doctor. Let's take you out of the equation and say that she's dealing with Kaltzit. She still acts all cold and callous as if she cares for nothing, doesn't she? On one hand, it's true she doesn't care for most things, but on the other, she has very carefully hidden away parts of herself. It can't go on like this. Companions should be honest with each other, right? So I'll let you in on an exclusive scoop. You might have heard that she can usually be found in the intel processing room when not on missions, and she really does like to hang out there. So much so that a corner of the room has practically turned into her exclusive spot. Try sneaking in there in the middle of the night sometimes. If you're careful, you might even catch a view of her sleeping face. A note that randomly appeared on your desk, with handwriting you recognize as Muelzi's.